This is my friend Matt. He's a very, very, very good driver, but this is Matt with a daily that has an open differential. Be like Matt. Have fun with what you have. This is Matt's third vehicle he's let me drive. I drove his best vehicle first, the T40SX DLS swap. We are in his 2008 G37. So this is a heavy bitch of a car. It's 3,700 pounds. To Matt and I, anything over like say 3,200 pounds is a fucking pig. Worker. We're gonna get used to this here. Oh yeah. Nothing like some naturally aspirated power. Ooh, I like the heel toe on this. Pedals are spaced really well together. Oh yeah, that open differential singing, baby. I could feel the middle of the chassis flexing just a little bit over those bumps. It's just kind of like doing a little wiggle. That's what builds character. Oh yeah, going up over the crest. This is a very fun and hairy turn. But initial turn in, very direct. This power steering, I believe is EPC, I would say, right? I think it's electro.
No, it's hydro.
Oh, it is hydro.
Yeah.
Oh, good. That's awesome.
Made sure that fluid was tapped off today.
Oh god, it feels so good. It's light, but it's direct. Like I can feel the communication of this right now, like what it's doing. Very good. The front end doesn't feel as heavy as I thought it would, and the car actually feels a lot lighter than I thought it would.
Right? That's what I was saying earlier.
Let's get a little brake action.
Yeah. Now let me talk about the brakes real quick. So it's a G37S, and it basically has like the TrackPack Z brakes. There's two kinds. There's a Brembo and Akebono, and this has the Akebono brakes, but they're adequate.
This is good, man, for a daily driver. So let's paraphrase. Let's preface, whatever you want to say. I don't know what the actual pronunciation is, but let's just talk about this car for a second. Matt recently just acquired this car, and he actually started modifying it before he even had the car, which is typical Matt fashion. It's his daily now. So he needed a good daily. It took him a little bit to find this car with a manual transmission in a four-door. As you would assume, that would be a little bit tough. But this guy, ooh, I like that. I like that. Ooh, I like that. Little scrubby scrubs. It's not like snapping on me like my M2, but so he just wanted something that could be daily drivable, yet now is going to turn into one of his track cars.
What's not a track car?
This is true. Matt cannot keep anything stock, and that's okay. That is totally fine. God, this car handles fantastically. This car is amazing. Ah, God, I just love that just good, light Japanese feeling, man. Like, this is such a good setup right now. So you are running RE71 on tires. We got RE71 tires on here right now. You beefed up the sway bars, correct?
Everything's completely stock except the upper camber arms in the front.
Gotcha. Let's talk about this motor. VQ37, is it an HR or DE? I don't remember.
I don't think there was a designation.
There isn't?
It's just the VQ37.
Even though, you know, they switched over from a DE to the HR back in, I think, 2007, 2008. But this is a 37, it's not a 35, correct?
G37, yep, it's an 09, so I think what they did is they took all the benefits from the 35 HR and just made it a little bit bigger bore, I think. I don't really know anything about them.
Really?
Yeah, but
it's a good motor. It feels really good.
It's very adequate, you know, for V6.
Yeah, this is solid. I think it makes, what, 330-ish horsepower naturally aspirated from a 3.7 liter. I mean, that's some technology that they've had for a little bit, and it's like all like Camaros just now started doing that. Like, I shouldn't say just started doing that, but you know what I mean. It's, anyways, Japanese to engineer good motors and good chassis and good handling cars.
Yeah, and I think this revs higher than a typical GM V6. I think that's probably why you're getting more power.
Oh, man.
Similar displacement.
And the torque is not bad. The torque is not one of those ones where it's like mid-range and dead. Like, this torque's actually pretty solid, man. Like, I like the mid-range punch this has. Like, of course, it's kind of easy, but I mean, it's a naturally aspirated motor. What do you expect? Like, this is actually pretty solid.
Yeah, and you know, I've got a crazy track car, so like, I have a balled out motor, but like, this is pretty good for like what it is. It's not like a fancy motor.
You could build this naturally aspirated, and they could, I think, a naturally aspirated 37 puts out around 360, 370-ish
to the wheel.
To the wheel.
That's pretty good, man.
It's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Of course, it costs a lot of freaking money, whereas you can just sit there and you can be like, all right, let me just slap a turbo on there, and it'll work well. God, I love that this car is not any bit skittish. Like, it's like, go ahead, drive me.
That's what I was saying versus your car. Like, it's just way more linear.
Yeah, like coming in, rolling in on center. It's not like the ascent's gonna swing out from under me. It's sitting here and it's like, oh yeah, let's go. I'm in it. I'm taking a set, and it's exactly where I need to be. This is a very confidence-inspiring car. I was not expecting this at all. Like, everything about it. Let's see. Coming in, a little taut. Let's get on a little bit, a little brake roll in, and boom, takes a set. Track out. Wow, this is good stuff. This corner right here, we're still trying to get used to coming up. We don't know if we should be pinned or if we should be off throttle. Which you want to be either on brakes or throttle, or else you're just going to sit there and your car doesn't know what to do. But it is what it is. Oops, sorry about that. Oh, we upset the back end, and that was fun. That was good. Not a whole lot of drama whatsoever. Dude, this is a damn good daily.
Yeah, right?
This is a good freaking daily, dude. This is a good daily, and the direction change, it can definitely change directions pretty quick. It's not super twitchy, which is kind of a good thing. The gearing's not bad.
What do you think about that transmission?
This transmission is fantastic.
I like it a lot.
This is, it's good. It's not like, so one thing about whenever I drive Zs, and whenever I get to review one, I'm going to kind of talk about it, is they have this weird clunkiness to their transmissions.
Okay.
And you did nothing to this, right?
Yeah, it's stock, whatever, internal slave, CD, or whatever they call it.
So, in terms of the transmission itself, it's very communicative, but still it's a little clunky. But this is totally doable. Like, I mean, this is easy. Coming in, a little trail brake, a little bit of heel toe. Man, I love this section right here.
It's so good.
I love this section, dude.
It's way better that way, too.
Oh, yeah. I put 2 wheels off over here one time. It was great. It's not, y'all should know that.
Like, you'll feel like you're never going to crash there, and it's really fast.
It's kind of scary, because if you do put some wheels off, you just kind of let it go down in the ravine, I guess. And, oh, God. This corner is a lower speed corner, so the rotation is pretty solid, man. I can see how this car is easy to drive on the track with the setup. I mean, all you did was just a few little adjustments.
Just camber in the front, that's it.
Dude.
Camber and tow.
This is fantastic. All right, we're gonna start cooling down a little bit, but man, this is actually a really fun car. Really fun daily.
It was worth the wait.
The direction change is super planted. It's not jittery. The body roll is not bad. It's very predictable. It's not too lunky at all. Like, this is just good. I just want to keep driving it.
I know.
I'm just like, all right, calm down a little bit. Start slowing it, even though we've got a completely clear track to ourselves, which is just,
so good.
That's beautiful. This is just beautiful. This is it. This is our new home.
About it.
I was not expecting to have this much fun, because
it's a sedan.
When I think of Z cars of this generation, Gs of this generation, I think of kind of clunky.
and driven by complete douchebags.
Douche tools, yes. You are not.
Whatever.
So we were trying to justify him getting one by saying it's a 4-door. It's not one of the 2-door ones. He's not slapping a straight pipe on here to make it sound like a fucking stupid trumpet. Please, for the love of God, if you have any kind of VQ engine, keep your damn resonators on. Please, just keep your resonators on. It's
do it for us, your car friends.
It's ridiculous. Like, I love loud cars, but it's got to sound good.
Yeah.
It just needs to sound good.
This thing was straight piped when I got it. He gave me the stock mufflers.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not joking whatsoever. And it was fun for about 4 to 5 minutes.
Right.
And then I got on the interstate and it was just droning, and I was like, this is the worst thing ever.
You're sitting there.
Chewbacca, God.
You sit there, and like after an hour or two of driving, you get out, your ears are bleeding, and you've got like tinnitus. All right, well, let's go put it on the tier list. We'll see you in a bit. Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to the tier list. Let's talk about Matt's G37S sedan in a manual, otherwise known as the V36 chassis, the successor to the V35, G35 sedan, and G35 coupes. Starting with the drivetrain, is in fact a VQ37 VHR, VQ for the Nissan engine code, 37 for 3.7 liter, V for variable valve event lift, otherwise known as VVEL, HR for high revving. These cars are around 330 crank horsepower, 270 foot-pounds of torque. Matt's engine itself is probably pushing out maybe around 295 rear-wheel horsepower compared to maybe the stock 270-ish rear-wheel horsepower, just because he does have a cold air intake setup along with an online tune downloaded on there by the previous owner. The engine itself is a really nice responsive engine. It's extremely linear, very nicely revving. It doesn't fight you too much in the higher rev. There's really no need to swap this out for a V8 anytime soon. It is a very healthy motor. The clutch was very responsive, not too firm, not too soft. It's just a very good clutch. Pedal spacing themselves is awesome. Heel toe downshifting, as I said, is very easy to pick up in this car as the pedals are nicely spaced together. The transmission in these cars, I usually think of a CD009 transmission, which for me in the 350Zs and some of the earlier 370s were a little bit clunky feeling to me. This transmission itself, I was asking Matt if this is the same transmission, because to me it felt a little bit more notchier, not as clunky, still a little bit of clunk, but I was like, this feels different. Turns out it actually is a little bit of a different transmission. They designated from the CD009 to a notchier JK41A, or a number of other different types that are basically the same thing. What they did is they did something to cut the gears a little bit nicer, and that engagement was very apparent. It's a solid transmission, definitely good feedback, and not too much clunkiness. The brake pads were OP for this car, which is not a bad thing at all. They are GLoc R8 Pads with some racing brake fluid, I don't know what kind, but you pair that with the RE71Rs, rest in peace tires, and it is a stout stopping car and also a very stout handling car. The way Matt is able to set this car up to handle so well with everything without having to change out the suspension setup itself in terms of the springs or the struts is he installed some GKTech front upper control arms for camber, and that is pretty much it. That with Matt's magic touch of alignment, this car was extremely neutral, very planted, very stable. You could totally push it hard, but it just didn't really want to get upset. It just wanted to grip, which is amazing. I knew what the front end was doing 100% of the time, followed by the back end. The front end was fantastic on this car. The steering itself was very light. It's still a hydraulic steering rack. It's very communicative, and it just felt nice and linear. The chassis itself, compared to the previous V35 chassis in the V36, is supposedly 40% stiffer on this G37S. It is still a flexible chassis. You can still feel a lot of flex in the very center of this car, kind of hobbling over some of the imperfections on the track, and that's not a bad thing. The rear end did stick the whole entire time. It was comfortable. The whole entire setup weighs probably around 36-60 pounds, and even though it weighs a ton, it still held really well on the track, just because Infiniti Nissan did a great job setting this car up for a front midship layout, which
which is basically just a fancy way of saying that I'm going to put the motor back as far as I can towards the firewall just to try to get a 50-50 weight distribution car. In terms of the weight distribution, it is more like a 53% of the weight is on the front and 47% of the rear. A little bit of stitch welding, this thing would be a beast. Maybe some chassis bracing, that would be one hell of a ride. Overall, scoring this car, there is just something about Matt's home-brewed, backyard-built cars that he just has some sort of wizardry touch to these machines. They always have this extra element of fun. He dials them in perfectly somehow. I have no idea how he does it, but let's just label it witchcraft. This car is lightly modded. I call it stock plus. It is an insanely fun car. I just didn't want to stop driving it. My favorite thing about this car was the handling. It is the absolute definition of confidence inspiring. I literally never driven this car and was on it almost full tilt within a few laps. I'm not sure how the stock one drives, but this stock plus is perfectly set up. All Matt needs is a LSD, and he's got himself an incredible daily driver. Putting this on the tier list, we are going to go ahead and do some rearranging. Boom, there you go, Matt. You have a car in B tier, A tier, and S tier. Congratulations, you're killing it. I put the G here just because Rowdy's car felt like it needed some more dialing in itself. Kind of felt a little unstable after you get it past a certain point of traction. My ND Miata, that stock plus form, was an absolute blast to drive. However, I hated the steering so much that it really kind of killed it for me. And there's just no getting around Charles's MR2. I can't wait to drive this thing on track, but this is a very good rating for Matt. If you can find one of these cars in a manual, I highly suggest you consider it on your short list. This time I'm not going to do an exhaust clip just because everyone and their mother and their grandparents knows what a VQ engine sounds like. Thank you so much for getting here. Please be sure to comment, subscribe, like, all that stuff. It's free. Let me know in the comments if you think that this placement for the tier list is justified so far. Other than that, be safe out there. Watch out for idiots on the road. Pay attention and have fun while you're doing it. Bye.